Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are doing a two-part series because there's so much content and so much information. I decided to break it up. So this is the series called Emotional Mastery. And this is all about how we can master our emotions. It's also really about emotion regulation, which is a buzzword today. And we're talking about it in the general public quite a bit. Something that I learned, of course, 30 years ago and have worked with my clients on all this time, therapy clients for many, many years. And then I work with my coaching clients on emotion regulation. It's an important skill in life. And I think that many of us don't have an idea still about what that means, emotional mastery or emotion regulation. So it's worth doing a two-parter on this about, okay, what is it? And how do we get mastery over our emotions?
And I would assume this process has evolved over time. If you learned this 30 years ago, you were trained on it 30 years ago, I'm thinking that if somebody's going into your world now, this process, the way you tack it is probably changed, been modified, made better.
Well, not really.
Really?
I mean, the way I learned it 25, 30 years ago is still what I teach, the skills I teach to my clients today.
Okay.
Now, 30, 25, 20, 15 years ago. So, okay, let me say this. Every therapist knows, well, ought to know with their continuing education how to sort of teach in a way, but therapists don't teach. That's what coaches do. But we can educate. We do a lot of psychoeducation around emotion regulation. If you've taken a DBT course, dialectical behavioral training, that's all about emotion regulation. And that's still what I draw from Marsha Linehan's dialectical behavioral therapy that I use with my clients today. I've advanced it a little bit and tweaked it a little bit for coaching clients. That's made it very palatable and easy to utilize in their real lives. But yeah, it's pretty much stayed the same. Like I just said, you'll find different versions of it, different pivots of it from mostly the coaching world has gone in, I think, the therapy world, and they've borrowed a lot of what it is that we're using. And that's fine. You just always have to vet your coaches very well. They know what they're talking about.
Sure.
So why are coaches using it and why are therapists? We've been doing this forever now. Because it's a problem. And people, and I'm speaking in generalities here, we have not learned how to regulate our emotions. I'm going to put this in air quotes, appropriately, depending on your race and your culture, where you come from, what's appropriate one community, one culture is maybe inappropriate in another. So when I talk, use this to fit your life and fit your world. Okay, that's really important. Keep what is useful to you and let go what is not useful to you. Drop off what you don't need, okay? Because this podcast in general, I'm speaking in generalities. It's a podcast. I'm not your therapist. I'm not your coach. So when I'm working with you one-on-one and you are now my client, that's very, very different.
Yeah.
And it's nuanced. I'm working with you and your life situation, your issues and what you're bringing to the table, and we're working that through. But for the podcast and for all of us who are podcasters, this is general recommendations and general advice.
Yeah. I mean, the takeaway is going to be different for everybody. It has to be.
So I am teaching this to groups, and this is something that is so very much needed in companies and corporations and small and medium-sized businesses because they're struggling with employees. Emotional mastery, like I said, it is a skill and one that I think we all can work on. We all can spend our lives working on it and improving upon it because we're human and we fall back and we screw up or we get dysregulated all the time.
Yeah.
And that's okay. This is not about you judging yourself. It's about just saying, okay, I really kind of effed up there and let me work on this for the next time this situation comes up, if it does come up.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's be really honest. I mean, I think most people think emotional mastery means staying calm all the time. It's not crying, not getting angry. It's really not showing weakness, especially in the public sphere or in the workplace, right? But here's the truth. Emotional mastery, it's not about control. It's about understanding. Suppression is your armor. When you suppress your feelings, that's you putting your armor up. Mastery of your emotions is you developing an awareness and learning how to work with them. Then you move into mastery. Many of us have as armor because we have suppressed our emotions because we don't know what to do with them. So let me just tamp them down, shove them down, and then tamp that down and then stand on top of it and we'll keep them down because that's what I've taught. That's what I know how to do, or I don't know what to do. And that's my default. And that's what's easiest for now. But that can lead you into a world of frustration and hurt, really.
Yeah. I think
what are you thinking? I know.
Well, no, I think of like people I work with and like that you could say are emotional people, dramatic people, let's say. And most people have both sides of this. Their ups and their downs. Their downs get them really down, and their ups, they just are like anxious and they can hardly process things.
Right.
Like trying to keep them, I won't say in the middle because it sounds like then you're robotic.
Well, they are great people to learn this.
Yeah.
They are really great people to learn how to regulate your emotions while at work. So I wanted to give an example. I had a client once, this high performance person who was like VP, way, way at the top. They were ever the stoic, and they came to me because they were struggling with really what it ended up being. They didn't know why they needed coaching. They just knew that something was off in their life. This is someone who on the outside looked like the whole package, a good looking individual, dressed well, spoke articulately, air quote, killing it at work, made very good salary, heading up many, many teams, managing the team leaders, traveling internationally, traveling all the time, and had a decent home life. Actually, things seemed on the outside like they were going pretty well. They said to me, I'm like a stoic. I consider myself to be stoic. Well, what's wrong? Well, they came to me because they were about to implode, because they couldn't continue to keep it all together, because they had all of these emotions on the inside that they did not know how to express, and they had pushed their feelings down. They had pushed down what it was that was brewing inside of them. They did not know how to manage very well other people's emotions, nor their own. So they were eking by, this person was eking by with the emotionality of their role, knowing that at some point I'm going to come up short because I don't know how to manage these people and their emotions and their issues. What we discovered together is that there are mental health issues with your team leaders and your colleagues. Well, this person had mental health issues. And what ended up happening is they were on the verge of just this implosion. And what was underneath the implosion was this run of anxiety and depression.
Interesting.
That they had been shoving down for years. And truth be told, the person really struggled with anxiety and struggled with imposter syndrome, struggled with not feeling like they were enough. If people really knew how I really felt on the inside, I would never be in this position.
Yeah.
And truth be told, my marriage is not great. And I can't go to the kids' games because they're at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I'm not back for them. And I'm missing out and I know it. And something always has to give. They were on the cusp of going into a partial hospitalization program for a few weeks for emotional exhaustion, really a clinical depression and an anxiety disorder.
Wow.
They had not managed their emotions all those years.
Yeah. Wait,
so that's a great example of working on, and we worked on, let's get into emotional mastery here. Let's learn to master this. Let me teach you how to master this.
Yeah. Was this individual becoming anxious because they felt like they needed to keep it together for everybody else?
They just thought they could outthink their feelings. I'm going to outthink. I keep saying tamp down because it's the best visual I can think of. I'm going to continue to tamp down what's coming up for me, what I'm feeling, and I'm going to outthink it. It works only so far. It gets you only so far, and then it just stops working. Because if you ignore your emotions, they will win. And we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want your emotions winning.
Right. You've been on teams before in places of employment.
Right.
And you must have seen, and thinking about it from your seat, you must have seen the leader or a leader that appeared to have it all together.
Yeah.
But I think because they felt like they had to.
Yes.
They had to keep it together because they could see that everybody else or many of the others were not keeping it together or not able to
well, they were the air quote leader.
Strong.
Yeah, they were the leader they needed to.
But the pressure.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, the pressure to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay, so that's a perfect segue into the misconception of control, especially for leaders, CEOs, the high performers. If you manage a team There's this common cultural message that we grew up with. You and I grew up with. We're Gen Xers. And I think millennials would agree. I think even Gen Zers who are in the workplace now would say this because they maybe heard it because Gen Zers have Gen X parents. Some of them have baby boomer parents. The common cultural messages are, what's that commercial? Is that band deodorant? Never let them see you sweat. We were raised with that. Never let them see you sweat. Keep it together.
Yeah.
Stay positive. Stay positive, right? Suppression is mistaken for strength, like I said earlier. So we're suppressing what it is we're really feeling, and that's strength because you're not letting anybody see you sweat. So from a clinical perspective, suppressed emotions, they activate the sympathetic nervous system. So what's the sympathetic nervous system? That's where your tension is. You're creating this chronic tension and stress in your body and in your mind that you're really probably never getting out of. I think these certain individuals are never out of it. So we talk about, as athletes, we talk about getting into the parasympathetic nervous system. We talk about rest and recovery. I'm talking about rest and recovery, and I'll talk more about that in part 2. In next week's episode, we're going to do it in the part 2 of this, about the parasympathetic nervous system and how we need to rest and need to recover. Because the sympathetic nervous system is high cortisol. These individuals live there. And that is a recipe for disaster. And that's that client who came to me years ago. He was always with adrenaline, always with high cortisol, always in the sympathetic nervous system and about to break.
So is that on them? I mean, are they just not conscious enough to turn it off? Like, take a break, walk away.
I don't think they knew any other way to do it, Tim.
Okay.
I think it's like I just said, it's a cultural messaging. Never let them see you sweat. And understandably, that person could not let their boss see them sweat. They really couldn't show that weakness because it's still looked down upon.
Yeah.
That's weak. You don't show your emotions here. No one cares. No one cares what you think.
Yeah.
No one cares what you feel. Not what you think. No one cares what you feel.
Yeah.
No, you don't show that here. That's unprofessional.
You're talking about back in the day.
And even now.
Well, not as much now.
Not as much now with a younger group coming in. And so they need to balance it in a different way because it can be too much on the emotion side.
Correct.
So, and I'm not talking about this actually in these 2 series, but I will mention it. If you've ever worked with me and you're a client of mine, you know I've talked to you about using your wise mind. And that comes from dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT. I say to I'll say to my kids, I remember saying to my brother, like, use your wise mind. Use your wise mind. So your wise mind is a balance between your emotional mind and your rational mind. And when we're too much in our emotional mind, it's a turn off to people. People don't listen to you. You look like you're getting hysterical, whether it be true or not, or it's judgy or not. Maybe it is. It doesn't matter. People are not going to give you as much respect, or you're not as credible when you're too much in your emotion mind. My client knew that they couldn't be that way and would really never be that way. The problem was they had no outlet for managing what it was they were feeling on the inside. No, it's not appropriate to crack up and break up in front of the CEO of this large international company.
Yeah.
You need to find other ways of managing it. That's why you get a coach.
Right.
That coaches you through all this, so you have an outlet for it. So when you show up to that board meeting, you're cool. You got this because you've worked on it, because you've got the mental skills now and you've worked on the emotional piece as well that, okay, you're good.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the analogy that you've shared before about the pressure cooker. It's there. And if you're not careful and you don't relieve some of that pressure, at some point that lid's coming off the top and it's not going to be pretty.
And I want to say to all of you, I mean, you talk about the Gen Zers, which we may talk about that in the next episode if we have time. Emotional mastery does not mean emotional numbing. So I don't want you to numb yourself out, which is what many people will do. And we'll talk about ways that people numb themselves out. So that's not what emotional mastery is. It's knowing what your emotions are and managing them well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to think of your emotions as waves. Suppression tries to dam the water. So emotional suppression is you damming the water. Emotional mastery is you learning how to surf. And now you're riding the wave.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
You like that?
I do like that. Not joking. I like that. Yeah.
It's a good visual.
It is a good visual.
It is a good visual.
I was like, huh. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to talk very quickly. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I will talk with you all briefly about the neuroscience of emotion regulation, which is take this emotional mastery, emotion regulation. You can interchange them because that's really what I'm talking about here. The amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, there's a loop here. We go from threat detection versus into reasoning. So we go back and forth from threat detection versus reasoning. The amygdala is your threat detection. The amygdala is the fight, flight, or fawn phase where we're on high alert, danger, 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 and our brain, the amygdala part of our brain is telling us something is going on. Pay attention. The prefrontal cortex is our reason. Right here, the very front of our brains, our reason. It's where we can think things through. They can get their wires crossed. So when we're dysregulated, the prefrontal cortex completely goes offline. So your prefrontal up here, when you're getting dysregulated emotionally, kind of stops working.
Yeah.
You're clouded by your amygdala kicking.
Which is not helpful for
there
that
you go.
to go.
And
right?
I've been here.
Yeah.
So who hasn't been here? I've been here before. I've been here in the workplace with bosses. I've been here in my younger years before I knew how to manage this. And I've been when I was at graduate school, an intern. I've been here in my more probably in the last many years, not with clients, in my personal life. I've been here with you. I've been here with siblings of mine where I've gotten really dysregulated and my prefrontal has gone out the window and I'm so fired up. I'm so in my amygdala. I'm so in fight or flight or fawn, usually fight. In that moment, it would be very difficult for me to bring that down in a reason. I had to really work on this. And I'm saying to all of you, this is work. This is not you all watching this on YouTube or just listening to Tim on a podcast, Tim and I on the podcast and just going, oh, okay. No, you have to take this and now you have to work with it. And many of you are going to need additional help with it, which I would recommend. You could see a psychotherapist for this. You would want DBT. And you can do that in the state that you're in, or, if you're in Canada or another part of the world. If you want coaching, because you don't really want to do the deep history, you don't have a lot of unresolved issues from your past, you're not doing trauma work, you can get coached on this. And I can certainly coach you on this. And it's wonderful because then you're getting the one-on-one with me. Remember that that's available to you as well. And if you're interested in group coaching, please email me, hello@annamarcolin.com, and just send me a quick email, interested in group coaching, and I'll get back to you on that. So this is really an overview. Okay. So let's go back to the neuroscience of this. So the amygdala, it gets really ramped up and we completely get dysregulated and we're not thinking straight, right? One thing we can do is stop for a minute and name your emotions. And that really helps quite a bit. So I've said it before on the podcast, name it to tame it. And I talk about this when I teach this. Name it to tame it. So if you want to tame that strong emotion, you need to stop and name it. What are you feeling right now? What is it that's coming up for you? It activates the left hemisphere of the brain and it dampens the limbic activity. And this is a Lieberman study out of UCLA, if you want a reference there for those who are interested in that. And you can go Google it and look it up even more if you want to know more about the Lieberman study. I am going to talk briefly here, but this is something I do with really save it more in detail for clients. But when I'm doing group coaching or speaking, this is where I bring in my STIR loop, STIR loop, the concept of you've got a stimulus, then you've got a thought, then you're going to interpret the thought, and then you're going to have a response. Okay. So this is something that I created that does come from cognitive behavioral. It's what I have put together to teach clients and people love it. That's what I use. This is from neuroscience. And then there's what we call this limbic hijack. That's what happens physiologically when our emotions lead. So when your emotions are leading the show, they're leading the parade, you have been hijacked limbically speaking, and you can't think straight and your body is showing it. Physiologically, look at your breath. Think of a time in your life when you've been really riled up about something. You probably were not breathing very well. You probably had short breaths.
Sure.
You probably weren't even paying attention. I know when I've had clients, trauma clients, I'm thinking about my practice, trauma clients in my therapy practice, and when I've had anger showing up, and this could be therapy or coaching, really angry about something, I stop them and I say, take a deep breath. Some of them don't want to.
Well, I was going to say, that's hard to do.
Let me just finish telling you this. I'm really mad. Take a deep breath. Do it again.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the change in people physiologically when I tell them to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
What it does to the trauma piece, but what it does also to the anger piece.
Yeah.
Or just anything that's very intense emotional.
You are an example of this, because I will say to you,
thank you.
I mean, I think we all are,
I know,
but
I know.
you,
I am.
we're you
say it to me, right?
I say to you, like, hang on a second, or pause, or relax, and you're like, don't tell me to relax. Like, it has the opposite effect on you many times, not all the time, but many times.
Well, because you're my husband. I mean,
there's that, right? Yeah, of course. But that's a good
because
example.
in the past, now in the workplace with my clients, it works well. It's just a whole different milieu, right? The milieu of home.
The dynamic
of you and I.
Correct.
And if I'm mad at you and you tell me to take a deep breath, Tim, it can be patronizing. It can feel patronizing. It can feel a little bit of condescension and talking down to me.
Yeah.
And then I get defensive. And that has happened quite a bit with us.
Yeah.
And there's also been times when I've been upset. So when I'm upset with you and you tell me to take a deep breath, then I get even angrier with you.
Sure.
When I'm upset about something I'm telling you about in my life and it has nothing to do with you, and you'll say it just comes across different. You also don't say to me, take a deep breath, or you will do that. You'll say, breathe. You'll say to me, like, breathe, or just take a deep breath. It's so different. Let me say I got into a big fight with my sister and I'm upset and I'm really dysregulated about it. You'll say, take a deep breath. That I will do, and that helps. Because I know I've done that with you before, where I'll stop and breathe. And I'm able to calm down more.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's the dynamic is one. And then I think it's also the situation.
And with you, we work that through. Mm-hmm. I say to you, don't tell me to calm down. Because, especially women, we don't want to be told to calm down. It's so condescending and patronizing for us as women.
There's a meme, isn't there? It says,
like you don't
what person in the history of history has ever calmed down when someone says,
exactly. No one ever. You don't tell women to calm down.
Yeah.
If you tell them to calm down, they're going to get riled up.
Right.
And even when like the girls one of my girls has gotten really upset or a bit upset with me or mad at me and they're riled up. I've thought it in my head, but I know I would never say that to them because it's just so dismissive. I feel like, calm down. What are you so upset about? But I don't say that. And they come around.
Yeah.
Find other words.
There's other ways to say it, and the result would be better. You're correct.
So the limbic system getting hijacked is really important. That behooves us to try our best to pay attention to what's going on with us physiologically. So I just gave one example of physiology. That's the breathing when we really take that in breath and out breath. It does calm us down, but maybe try to relax your shoulders, try to sit back. Maybe not be so keyed up, like sitting forward in the chair in my office. Sometimes I've had clients stand up at pace in the room, and my goal is to get them to stop moving so quickly. They may need to do it for a little bit, but to stop getting them to move so quickly and to get them to get out of their head. Well, not get out. I was going to say get out of their head into their feelings, to bring their feelings down so that I can understand a little bit better. In that case, maybe the frustration, the anger is about.
Yeah.
But you see it. I rarely would see that, but I have seen it where people are pacing. They're really upset about something and they come in, and that's a really good example of dysregulation. And okay, we got a lot of work to do on getting this person to mastering their emotions. And at the same time, they're also doing it with me because they're in my office and they feel psychologically safe. So
that's why they're there.
There's a caveat to that.
It's part of the process for them.
Just remember, we can't manage what we can't name. So that's really the neuroscience of emotion regulation is, number one, the simplest thing that all of you can do is just name what it is you're feelings. That's the start. If you can do that, name it to tame it, you can start to work on taming it. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Because I think others might have this question. And you don't have to go off on a full, because this could be an episode by itself. I have a feeling. You're talking about people that get into this space where their emotions get the best of them. And then they have to figure it out, interpret it, recognize it, own it, all those things.
Yeah.
What are the external influencers for a person to get into that? Meaning, does age factor into this? Do life experiences factor into this in terms of maybe how frequent you get into this minute of being like uncontrollable? Does it happen more if you're younger, older?
No, I think it doesn't matter what the age is.
It doesn't. So you don't become better at managing it over time?
You see it in 5-year-olds, you see it in 15-year-olds, you see it in 25, 35, 65-year-olds. I think as we get older, we do chill out a little bit more. You might not see a 75-year-old having a temper tantrum outwardly. And if they haven't worked on this, what happens is they may still have those feelings on the inside. And we know people like this who are in their elder years.
Sure.
They're not going to make a scene. They're not going to be all dramatic like a 15-year-old might be.
Maybe they don't have the energy to.
And they still have the thoughts on the inside.
Yeah.
So I think that this is not even about age.
Okay.
I think it's about learning the skills of mastering. You can teach 5-year-olds this, of how to regulate your emotions.
Yeah.
And I think it's case by case basis. It's different for everyone on what it is that's happening in their life. Sometimes we just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and we're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really that's happened that we know of in this present moment today. Maybe there was road rage. Somebody cut them off. It's pouring down rain and somebody cut them off in traffic getting to work on the day that they're going into the office. And they're in a pissed off mood now.
Mm-hmm.
That's flavoring or coloring their day.
Yeah.
We all can understand a baby or a kid who's sick and you're exhausted. Now you got to work. Computer's on at 8:30. Computer on, ready to work. You're working from home and you just name it.
Yeah.
It could be anything for any of us.
Yeah.
It could be this low hum of unresolved issues in our life because we're not really therapy people. I don't really do that. That's not where I come from. That's not how I was raised. I don't know anybody who ever went to therapy. My parents never went to therapy. I don't know anybody. You just went to church or you prayed about it. You talked to God or you didn't talk about it. I grew up Muslim. Mental health wasn't a thing.
Sure.
Now you've got years and years and years of unresolved issues, or maybe they're not issues. You just got stuff you got to work out. You've got patterns of thinking and patterns of behaving that are not working for you.
Yeah.
Just now at the age of 35 are seeing it. Because why do I have no friends? Why do I have nothing to do on the weekends? Why am I isolating? Why am I not getting promotions at work?
So those are two big...
Because it's your personality, maybe.
Yeah.
It's something with you.
It's your personality. It's potentially your family of origin
and
factors into this.
And it can all be improved upon and worked on.
There you go.
People don't realize what greatness is on the other side of that work. There's so much that can be done to improve our lives. And the people who are interested in personal development, they're going to do this.
Sure.
Some people are just not interested. A lot of people in our life, we know a lot of people, they know what I do. They know I'm a therapist. They know I'm a life coach. They know about the podcast, but they don't listen to the podcast. And they would never go to, we know people, they would never go to therapy and they'd never get coaching. There are quite a bit of people and Americans who just are not that interested in any of this. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I'm like, I don't know, do work on that.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
They like go out of their way to not get into that.
It is the baby boomers. It is the older generations of people that we know. But there are even people, Gen Xers that we know who they're just not going to do it. And they need to. I mean, there's a lot of people that I know. You need to be in therapy. You need coaching. Coaching could completely help you. They just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So
anyways, that's probably a really good way to say it. You don't know what you don't know.
In our personal life, people know what I do, but I don't talk about it. I don't talk about what I do with anybody, actually. I don't really want it. Some people will like, oh, you're a therapist. Let me tell you everything about my life, or let me tell you what I'm stuck on. You're a coach? And I'm like, okay, well, I have to have boundaries around that because we are at dinner and I don't want to give you no offense, but I really don't want to give you a free hour because I have had that done so many times. You even heard it. You've been like, Anna, you should set up a bill. I heard you at that dinner party. You talk, that person's like completely threw up on you verbally and emotionally.
Totally.
You have said that to me several times.
Yeah, totally.
Throughout the time we've known each other.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about what I do professionally because I don't want to.
No. And you've got the other side of that coin too, where it's like there's friends of ours that they don't want to be psychoanalyzed.
No. Right? I would never do that to people. No.
But they don't want to go there in a deep conversation about something.
It's not appropriate.
Meaningful, right?
And they don't want to be. And that, no. That's inappropriate. I would never do that. That makes people feel a certain way. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Okay. So the next part of emotional mastery is the power of awareness for all of you and labeling. So I teach this 3-step awareness process. Number 1, you're going to notice the physiological cues that we just talked about. So I want you to notice them in yourself. It might be the breathing. You're not breathing great. For some people, it might be like a racing heart. You feel tightness in your chest. You might feel your stomach kind of doing flip-flops or butterflies. I get that. Your stomach is a little upset and weird. And when I get really, really anxious about something, I'll actually get bloated. That's my body cueing me that you are upset about something. Okay. And then number 2, you need to name what it is you're feeling. So notice in your body. Now I want you to name it. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm ashamed. I totally feel shame. They shamed me. I feel shamed. Okay, so name it. Name what you're feeling. And then I want you to narrate it for yourself without judgment. Okay, so I'm noticing anger. I'm noticing anger coming up inside of me because my boundary was just crossed. That's what this is about. Maybe you've been working on boundaries and this person in the staff meeting completely ran roughshod over your idea, and they do it and it's a pattern and you feel like your boundaries are violated. No wonder you're angry. Okay, so you notice it in your body, you are able to name what you're feeling, and you can narrate it without judgment. I'm feeling angry because my boundary was just crossed. Okay, now we know what this is about. We can work on that. Okay.
How does it go? Like when you're working with somebody and you finally get them to the point where they can see that, there's got to be a moment where like they can't see what it is.
No, they can't.
Right. But then how does it feel for everybody when you're like, you get them, you driving the ship, you're funneling them to that moment of reality. And they're like, oh, I realize what it is now.
Because we go through each of these situations one by one. And I've done this before with my coaches. In the beginning, you can't see straight because you're subjective. We are subjective about our own lives. We don't have the objectivity. And it's like, well, this happened and they did this to me and they did that to me. And they just always are disrespecting me. And I know they don't like me. I know they don't like me. And they just always find a way to like dig at me in those meetings. Okay, let's listen to the whole story. Okay, what were you feeling? I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling disrespected. Okay, now I want you to tell me the story without judgment.
Yeah.
That's really important because when they take the judgment out and you tell the story, okay, what was really going on here? Tell me what this is really about. Well, Anna, you talk to me all the time about my boundaries. We talk about boundaries because I had no boundaries. My mom had no boundaries with me as a kid, my dad or my family or whatever it might be. You know, this is not true. This is hypothetical.
Yeah.
You know, I had that boss who just ran roughshod over me and never respected my boundaries. And I realized in working with you that I'm struggling with having boundaries. And now you're also helping me work on boundaries and establish boundaries for myself. And in that meeting, it was like I just went right back to where I was 6 months ago before I met you. And damn it. Okay. So we can now work on that. We can work on, you had the awareness that that was a boundary issue that made you so mad. So you got emotionally dysregulated. Totally understandable. I totally get that. And I probably would feel the same way. But let's get you in your wise mind. Okay, I'm using that term again. Let's get you back to the middle and let's get that rational mind in there and let's get the regulated mind in there. Okay. That's emotional mastery, everybody. It's not that you don't have these feelings. It's not that the feelings aren't strong and can feel overpowering. That's okay. That's part of the human condition. It's learning to work with them and bringing them into their proper perspective for you. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then we get into working on boundaries again. And we use that as an example for, okay, next time this happens, what are you going to do? We work it. We hone it.
Once you've identified, like for you, like you get anxious, right? And you get,
me personally.
Yeah. But just being able to see the signs. Right? Like being able to recognize the signs.
I say it all the time to clients. I've never heard you say that before, Tim. That's interesting. Because I use it all the time with clients. See the signs. So for me, like I'm going to put myself in that situation. If that was me and I was upset because this person's disrespectful to me and again in another staff meeting or a team meeting ran roughshod over me, maybe I was giving a presentation, they had to get their dig in to try to put me down and disrespect me. The way that I would have emotional mastery is that I actually might not even behave differently. I wouldn't say something back, go tit for tat, have to win, have to have the last word in that meeting. My emotion regulation and my mastery over my emotions is me leaving that meeting with my head held high, my shoulders back, and me knowing that I won this because I'm not going to let it have a hold on me the way it did 3 months ago or 6 months ago.
It's what you didn't do.
That this is not a me problem. That's a them problem.
Yes. Yeah.
And that when I realize that this is a them problem and their stuff and not mine, I'm good.
Yeah.
And that is so liberating to finally get that, really to absorb that inside of you. It's so liberating. Like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
That's emotion regulation. That's mastery.
Yeah. I've seen people that you could make an argument that they are not able to not have the last word in a situation like that. I don't know that they would ever be able to walk out of a meeting or a conversation.
They want to win.
Absolutely.
They need to win.
They have to win every single time. Like
That's ego. It's,
yeah.
You know people like that?
Totally. Yeah.
Tell them to come to me. I can work with them.
We need to talk about this.
You know, my wife could coach you on this.
Yeah.
No, you probably wouldn't even say anything to them. Right. We're joking.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we do? What do a lot of people do when they feel out of sorts emotionally in their professional life or their personal life? What do we see quite a bit of? I'm asking you the question.
What do we see them?
People have intense feelings. They're anxious about something or many things, maybe at work and in their personal life. Maybe they're two ships in the night with their spouse. They don't see each other. They're busy running around, kids now, to soccer and cross country. And they got some stress at work. They maybe got a proposal. They got a pitch they got to do. And they're just burning the midnight oil. What is it that you see people doing when they come in at night from work?
For me, I would say they're putting that on the back burner because they're so focused
What's
on
that?
the need to deal with it.
And so what do they do instead?
They continue to push. They continue to push forward and do whatever it is that's got them so worked up to begin with. They don't take time to work on that issue.
What are some other habits that you see people doing as a way of just kind of escaping their day because they're really stressed out?
I would say they would probably become a little bit less chatty. They don't allow themselves to have a moment to dig into that with their spouse. So maybe
they're lacking an emotional connection.
Correct, yeah.
They're not connecting with their spouse.
Yeah, they isolate. I would say they find other things to occupy time.
Yeah,
right?
so
maybe they get on their phone. Maybe they grab a book. Maybe they do something where they think they're taking themselves out of harm's way with that issue.
Right. So I was kind of baiting you a little bit. This is all about avoidance.
Yeah.
So what we see when we're struggling with emotion regulation is we watch people avoid people and situations in their lives. So you gave an example of they may come home and just keep at it. So they may continue to work, overworking. What I see quite a bit is the emotional numbing of drinking, getting high, taking an edible, smoking a joint. It's not that you're taking an edible or smoking a joint. I don't care about that. It's why you're doing it.
Right.
It's to escape. It's to emotionally numb. Here's a big one, scrolling. People just scrolling on their phones. That is a way of literally getting away from your real life. Just scroll, look at pictures on Instagram, watch TikTok, one after the other, because you are dealing with something and you don't really want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Deep down inside, you're dealing with something, you don't want to deal with it. So you're just going to numb out, and you're going to do that by avoiding.
Yeah.
Right.
And what you're doing is you're burning up time to get yourself to the moment where you're going to go to sleep. And you're going to wake up tomorrow and maybe it's not there, but it will be.
And what I've also seen over the years is the performance mask of everything's fine, it's all fine. And I put in air quotes, everything's fine. It's all fine. That's a performance mask. Everything is not fine, but you're continuing to avoid it. So many people experience this emotional hangover. It's the concept of an emotional hangover where suppression delays the pain, but it's going to amplify it later. I mean, you can only doom scroll and drink and overwork for so long before it's going to come back to you. We call it also emotional bypassing. And I'm going to say this is a little bit of my criticism of the wellness culture. Everything's fine, just stay positive. You know, I've mentioned it here on the podcast before.
Yeah.
We call that emotional bypassing, drives me nuts. And that's where I'm completely different from the people in the wellness culture. I'm a mental health and wellness person, but I think that that's BS because that's what we call toxic positivity. And people who do that, I think it's fraudulent. It's not true. It's not real. It's not authentic.
Well, it's not real.
It's not real. And I can't stand it when people in the culture, the influencers talk about like, just stay positive. No, effing no. Yeah. Let's not stay positive. Let's talk about what's really going on.
Yeah.
Once you start to do that, you're going to get at what's really happening. And you'll move out of numbing. You'll move out of avoidance, okay? So when we're doing this avoidance, what are you doing really to yourself? You're sabotaging yourself. You know, you're developing this resentment, you'll self-sabotage, and you will relationally distant from people in your life, especially in your personal life. And maybe from your close, like your work wives and your work husbands. And people will notice at work, what's up with you? relationally distant. Well, I'm just busy. I'm busy. Yeah, but it's been this way for like 2 months. This is not how you normally are.
You can see that. That does surface.
You can see
that.
it.
That shows itself. I've seen
and you
that.
can tell them all day long, but it's hard for that person. They have to have almost like their own come to Jesus moment, or they get smacked in the face. Unfortunately, for many people, they need like a smack in the face where they're like, okay, I need help here.
Yeah.
And that's where they come to me for coaching. Okay, I need help. I wish it didn't come to that for people where it's like, okay, I need help. I need help. I wish it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But you're right. You do see it with people at work.
Totally. I mean, I've had people where you could tell that they were a little bit off their game. And many times over, I've said, hey, let's go for a quick walk. And we'll go out and we'll just walk the property.
That's great. You do that too.
And let's just talk it out. Like, let's just figure it out. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's good.
If you want to share, whatever you want to share, or you just want to walk in silence, let's just take a moment.
You're a good boss.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people would do that with their employees.
Yeah.
Good that you do that. Yeah. Okay. Here's the framework I'm giving to all of you, the ICE pivot. Now, I know it's October here in Illinois, and I'm not talking about ICE, who's like going after all these immigrants and legal people.
Different episode.
I'm not talking about that. It drives me crazy. ICE is the framework that I created, and it's called the ICE pivot. And ICE is identify, choose, execute. Okay? Identify, choose, execute. And I talked about this already. So identify what you feel, choose how you want to respond, not react, respond, execute aligned action. Okay? Use this in your everyday life. So at work, before replying to a difficult email, at home, when your teenager rolls her eyes at you and you want to just go ballistic on them, use this ICE pivot. Okay? Identify, choose, execute. You have to remember, all of us, emotional mastery is a skill. These are skills. Many of us, I'd say most of us, did not learn this growing up. It wasn't taught in school. Our parents didn't teach it to us. Our coaches didn't teach it to us. Many of us are learning this now as adults. Okay. I've always said, why don't we teach us in kindergarten? We should teach us in kindergarten. We should teach this to children.
Is it not even now?
Maybe more now, but we're not really. No, there should be a class on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you work on these emotional mastery skills, and how they're built is really through repetition, doing it over and over and over again. I still have to work on this, and I've known this for 30 years, and I today still have to work on it. I'm not perfect because, like I said, we're humans, and we get emotional, and we get upset about things, and we're not always rational. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's like lifting weights. Like I'm trying to build my biceps, right? So I'm trying to increase and go heavier and heavier. It's hard work. Same thing with all these mental skills. They're built upon repetition. Okay?
Repetition and time. Right? Okay. You have to give it time.
I have some power moves for all of you, as I'm doing in all these episodes. Okay. So if you're interested, do these power moves. Number one, I want you to journal one reoccurring emotion you've had this week. What is one emotion that is just with you this week? What message is it giving you? Maybe it's joy. Maybe it's happiness. Maybe it's contentment. Maybe it's frustration. Maybe it's disappointment. One emotion. What's one emotion that keeps showing up for you? And I want you to spend some time writing about it. Your number two power move, I want you to use the 90-second rule. And I didn't talk about this earlier. The 90-second rule. Let that emotion's coming up inside of you, okay? Maybe it's frustration. Maybe it's anger. I want you to sit for 90 minutes. 90 minutes, not 90 minutes. Oh my gosh. 90 seconds.
Wow.
Not 90 minutes.
I was like, wow, okay.
Sit for 90 seconds with your emotion before speaking, especially with your spouse, your life partner, your best friend, your sister, your brother, your mom, and your coworkers. And if you have to, I've told my clients, like if you have to, like seriously, put the timer on, look on your watch or on your phone, set a 90-second timer on your phone before you speak. That could be game changing because you've taken a few breaths, and I would have you add some deep breaths in there. And you'd be amazed at when 90 seconds later, or 2 minutes later, when you go to say something, how it comes out different than what you would have said 2 minutes earlier if you hadn't done this.
Yeah.
Very different.
And I would have to imagine the person that you're about to speak to is going to be aware that you are
wow, they're different.
They're taking a second, right?
And they're like, oh, that's interesting. Usually they like flap a handle at me.
Right.
Or they make a sarcastic, snarky comment.
Right. I think you've got their attention at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And your number three power move is I want you to try this 2-minute body scan. I want you to take 2 minutes, also set another timer, and just notice where you're holding tension in your body when you're stressed out. You know, what emotion lives there for you? Just notice it. It's my stomach, and also be tight shoulders, neck and shoulders. For so many of us, it's our neck and our shoulders. What emotion is living in there? in, this is polyvagal work. What's in there? What are you holding in the stress in your shoulders and your neck? For me, oftentimes it's worry. When I'm worried or anxious, for me, it's worry. My shoulders come up.
It's mostly worry for you.
Yeah, it's worry for me. I know you know that for me.
Yeah.
It is. It's worry. Okay, that's okay. So now you've developed the awareness.
Yeah.
But for all of you, where is it? Maybe it's like your back starts to get sore. You've air quote thrown out your back. Your back is all like cinched up. Maybe that's where you hold it. And what is that about for you? Okay. All right. We're going to end on that. There's your 3 power moves, and stay tuned until next week. We're going into episode 2 of Emotional Mastery, and we're going to really talk more about when you're under pressure and how to regulate your emotions when you're under pressure. Okay. We're going to learn together how to stay steady in the storm that's coming up for you in your life. Okay.
I like it.
All right. Mad love. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Makes all the difference in the world, everybody. And that's could be your one little give back. We don't make any money doing this, and I've been doing it for 6 years. So this is my pay it forward to the world, but the currency of a review and a 5-star
rating. Nudge.
Whatever that thing is, that would make
Tap your screen.
Yeah, there you go. Tap your screen. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next week.